Welcome to Prime Life. We call it Retirement 2.0. Leave each episode with tips and new ideas to help you navigate retirement in our new age. It's your time. Make it count.
This podcast is for educational purposes only. It is not intended as medical, investment, or financial advice. We do not sponsor or endorse any of the individuals, companies, products, or services featured on this podcast. Any statements or opinions expressed are of the individual who makes them. We hope you enjoy the episode.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Prime Life podcast. I'm Mary Crean, and I'm flying solo today, but I have an amazing guest, and he's been on recently, but I had to bring him back due to the timing of what we'll be discussing today. I'm here with Matt Feret. He is the MF Media host of the Matt Feret Show, and he's the author of Prepare for Medicare, The Insider's Guide, and a growing series of books and workbooks on Medicare, Social Security, and retirement planning, which is perfect for Prime Life. He's a former Medicare industry executive. He's building a national platform to help people cut through the noise, live smarter, healthier, and more confident lives in the second half. Matt, welcome back to Prime Life. For those that haven't listened before, quickly share a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to dive right into some really cool questions.
Yeah, hey, good to see you again, Mary. And thanks for that intro. That sounded very fancy. I'm not sure that I could do a better job than you, but I think what you said was accurate. I hosted the Matt Feret Show. It's kind of middle age and beyond, retirement topics, but not just the 401ks and IRAs and Medicare insurance. That gets boring after a while. So it really has a lot to do with living a thriving life after age 50 and all the way into and through retirement. That's been a lot of fun for me to do over the past few years. And you're right. I just released 3 new books this summer. They're subtopic books in the Prepare for Medicare Insider's Guide series. One is what we'll talk about today, preparing for the annual election period. And a lot of people call it the Medicare annual open enrollment period. But that book I released this summer. Late summer. And then one of the books that's really just taken off on Amazon is Medicare supplements versus Medicare Advantage. I mean, that's the number one question people ask. And so I thought, let me help them. Let me write one specifically for that. And then working past age 65, that's the third one I released this summer. And there are just so many questions around that in Medicare. Do I take A and B? Do I wait for B? What if I have a spouse? What happens if I go on Cobra and I'm over 65? It's just, there are so many deadlines and timelines that people miss. And I always say this, but I'll say this again, like Medicare or the federal government doesn't send anyone any reminders. No one gets an email or a text that says, hey, you've got 3 more days to sign up for Part D or you'll get a penalty for life. So anyway, that's my trying to help people figure out all these crazy deadlines and timelines and make decisions that help them prepare and help them, have insurance coverage and Social Security choices and retirement decisions that impact their lives positively.
I love that. And I would agree with you. And I hear that all the time. So let's dive right in. What are the biggest mistakes retirees make during that annual election period, also known as AEP?
Not doing anything. That's the biggest mistake. Getting their big, huge ANOC letter that looks like it was meant for a government publication and deciding to just leave it on the kitchen counter and, I'll get to it when I get to it. That's the biggest mistake. Every year, the annual notification of change at ANOC gets sent to you, and that's if you have a Medicare Advantage plan and if you have a Medicare Part D plan. So pretty much everybody on Medicare gets it. In there, it outlines what's changing for the next year. And some of the stuff is up front. Some of the stuff is buried. You got to sit down and read it. You have to renew it or review it because there are, again, there are no lights that come with it. Nobody's gone through it with a highlighter to tell you what to read and what's important. But there is a comparison in there. And you can look at your premium changes. I just saw somebody posted online the other day. They just got their Part D and their premiums increased or will increase for 2026, 44%. I mean, we're all on this inflation cycle. We notice it at the grocery store. We notice it in our new and used cars, but it's happening in insurance as well. So there are better deals out there. There are different companies that are being more aggressive this year. Other companies are kind of stepping back and trying to make sure they're getting more of a margin and not so worried about getting new members. And so every company has a different life cycle. Every company has different growth and retrenchment patterns. And so as a consumer, not doing anything during this time period is a recipe for disaster. You can't put your head in the sand. You have to read your ANOC. You have to look at how your benefits are changing, or you're going to get a nasty surprise on the first of the year. You may not. You may luck out. Nothing happens. But this year especially, premiums are changing. Deductibles are changing. Drug coverages are changing. You really do owe it to yourself to dig into that thing. And if you need some help, use your independent Medicare insurance agent that, represents multiple companies. If they're good, they know what's going on and they know who's retrenching and who's aggressively looking. Also consider what kind of insurance company you want to deal with. There are ones that are thinking 3 and 5 and 10 years out. And then there are ones that are thinking 1 year out. And some try to make a quick buck and pray it works out. And the other ones, well, they may not have the best benefits or the lowest premiums, but they're thinking 3, 5, and 10 years out. And they're being perhaps more responsible with what they're doing rather than just trying to get as many members as they can. So a lot of things to think about. Take an hour each fall to look at your Medicare insurance and what it's doing, review it, maybe, phone a friend, use your good independent insurance agent. If you don't have one, find one. And that's what I do. Doing nothing is not an option. It shouldn't be an option because you can be in for a very, like I said, rude awakening, for your benefits or the premiums you'll be paying next year.
Mm-hmm. And I love what you said, call a friend, but I also recognize that everyone's situation is different. So let's dive right in a little bit and talk about how should people compare Medicare Advantage versus Medicare Supplement, and what's actually changing in 2025 to 2026? Because I know you alluded to that a little bit. So if you could elaborate on that, that'd be great.
Sure. For how boring Medicare insurance seems from the outside, and no one really wants to deal with it more than once a day or once a year, there's so much going on in Medicare insurance these days. So it is important to pay attention. I'll start first with Medicare Advantage. Last year, meaning in 2024 for the 2025 plan year, there are a number of what's called service area reductions that Medicare Advantage plans made, which is a fancy way of saying they pulled out of counties and canceled policies. And it was sort of covered by the mainstream media, but not really. There was a lot going on last November, as you'll remember. A lot of different news cycles didn't cover it, but it turns out that 1.8 million people in 2025 got their Medicare Advantage plan discontinued. It stopped. So they were kind of kicked off the plan. Now, a lot of these companies started new plans and then tried to talk their old customers into buying those new plans, and that's fine. And then a lot of other people went to different carriers. This is happening again in 2026 because this is being recorded before October 1st. We actually don't know the extent at which this is going to happen in 2026. But if you just do simple math on the publicly available information, it's already well over 1 million. And I've been saying for a couple of months, based upon my inside sources, that I think it's going to be over 2 million this year.
Wow.
So, if you think about 65, 67 million people on Medicare, and you had 1.8 last year and over 2 this year, percentages aside, that's real people. That's a lot of real people. And I always kind of think about, if you think about an NFL football stadium, a big one carries 85,000, and a college, captures, 110,000.
Right.
A really big one like, the Horseshoe in Ohio State or something, or Michigan, the Big House. I mean, that's 20 football stadium size of people who will no longer have their Medicare Advantage plan and have to do something this fall, or they won't have the coverage they think they have come January 1st. So that's the big thing. The other thing is a lot on Medicare Advantage over the last, let's say, 5 to 7 years. These benefits got really, really rich. and all sorts of freebies. And you're not allowed to use the word free in Medicare, so I'll just use the word freebies. But let's talk about like the shiny, pretty things like, ooh, $2,000 worth of dental. Well, my old plan only had 1,000, so why not move here for an extra 1,000? And over-the-counter benefits. What? I get $50. Wait, I get $100 every quarter to spend on, aspirin and whatnot. These things have all gotten to be reasons why people buy Medicare Advantage, and that didn't always used to be the case. And I think you're going to see that won't always be the case because those benefits are being trimmed, or the ability to use them is being trimmed. And why? Because they're expensive. So they came into existence because people bought them, right? Okay, I have a deductible. Okay, I've got an inpatient copay. Okay, my PCP is either 5 or 10. Big deal. But wait a minute. I do need $5,000 worth of dental. So, why do you buy medical insurance? It's to protect yourself from catastrophic medical costs, period. Right.
Exactly.
I mean, there's no dental plan out there. I can't think of one single dental claim that would cost you 10 grand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe if you cash paid an entire mouthful of new teeth, but nobody's ever gone bankrupt because they can't afford their dental care, right? And nobody's ever gone bankrupt because they don't have $50 a month to spend in OTC benefits.
Right.
But if you don't have the right medical coverage or you don't have the right prescription drug coverage, we're talking thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in expenses. So, I think companies are retrenching into the basics, and I don't mean basics in a bad way. I think companies are retrenching into, okay, medical insurance matters. Prescription drug insurance matters. If we can sneak in some extra bells and whistles and the bright, shiny stuff, that's fine. But I think we're going kind of back to the future, which is let's concentrate on the real benefits that protect people's finances first. And I think those are the carriers, when they're doing that, those will be the ones that will win long term. I still think some of the short terms will come out there with these bright, shiny objects that may or may not be there a year from now. That's on the Medicare Advantage side.
Yeah, go ahead. Go to the Medicare supplement, and then we're going to come back to Medicare Advantage because you know where I'm going next.
Yeah, right. So Medicare supplement is also, for something that's been around since the early 80s and is standardized by federal rules. A Plan G in Alaska is a Plan G in Virginia. Okay, so the benefits are the same, but the prices vary widely. And the prices have been coming under pressure over the last 12 to 24 months. People have seen 20, 30, 40% increases in their Medicare supplement premiums. Why? Well, it's really a lot of the same reason why the Medicare Advantage plans are trimming their benefits or increasing their prices. It's because medical inflation and the amount of medical care people are using and the amount hospitals and doctors are billing has been going up. Insurance companies pay claims. When the claims go up, the payouts go up, which means when the payouts go up, the premiums go up or the benefits get poorer. Overly simplistic, but it's kind of the supply-demand equation all over again. So Medicare supplements have been under a lot of strain because they essentially pay when Medicare pays, and people have been billing a lot more things to Medicare over the last couple of years. And so those premiums, I think, will continue to rise. And so it's really a cost-benefit comparison. Do you want to pay for comprehensive coverage that doesn't make you stick to a network, that allows you to go across the country and visit any doctor or hospital that accepts Medicare assignment? Great, but that freedom comes at a price now. And it comes at a steeper price now. The last thing I'll mention, which is really interesting, that is brand new for Medicare supplements, is that one of the negative things that people sometimes think of as negative in Medicare Advantage is something called prior authorizations. And that very simply is your doctor orders a test and the insurance company goes, whoa there, fella. Hold on. And doctors don't like that. And patients don't like that because doctors don't like that. And one example I gave recently is just, it's a throwaway example, but it's real. If I have shoulder pain and I go to my doctor's office and the doctor goes, oh, yep, let's get an MRI. Okay, that's a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 MRI. And the insurance company comes back and goes, well, hold on a second. Did you do physical therapy? Did you do an X-ray? Did you do anything before ordering that test? That's an example of prior authorization. Okay, well, that scenario hasn't historically happened in original Medicare or therefore in Medicare supplements. And so there's been a lot of press over the last 24 months, egregious prior authorization practices by Medicare Advantage companies. Well, guess what? The federal government is starting their own pilot prior authorization. So in 6 states. So moving forward, now the government and Medicare is trying to curtail their costs and making sure that they have prior authorization. So now in 6 states, even if you have a Medicare supplement, you're going to get some sort of prior authorization. So the trade-offs between Medicare Advantage and what they offer, and the trade-offs between what Medicare supplements or Medicaps offer, that's changing like real time. It's not the same comparison as it was even 12 months ago. So it is a really important time. I'll go back to the beginning of the show and go, doing nothing isn't an option. You could be surprised in a really bad way. So it's just a really dynamic marketplace. And again, for something so seemingly boring, Medicare insurance, yawn, it's changing dynamically more than I've seen probably in the last 15 years.
So with Medicare Advantage, though, isn't that an annual contract versus Medicare supplement? As long as you pay your premiums, unless you're looking to switch because you want to lower your premiums, your supplement will continue unless a carrier exits the market. Is that correct?
And we'll get that answer after a brief word from our commercial sponsors.
Nassau is always working harder to be your carrier of choice. We offer insurance products that can help you meet your retirement goals, such as protecting your savings, securing lifetime income, or paying for healthcare costs. We're dedicated to providing best-in-class service and are keeping things simple, and we'll have your back. We have around 400,000 policyholders and contract holders and have been doing this for a long time, 170 years, but we remain humble enough to always try to improve. For more information, visit nfg.com. Nassau insurance products are issued by Nassau Life and Annuity Company of Hartford, Connecticut, Nassau Life Insurance Company, East Greenbush, New York, or Nassau Life Insurance Company of Kansas, Overland Park, Kansas. Subsidiaries of Nassau Financial Group. Products are not available in all areas. Policyholder counts are for all Nassau companies as of September 30th, 2022, and are subject to change.
It is correct, and Medicare Advantage and prescription and standalone Part Ds are an annual contract, and they have to be renewed. But like you said, I mean, there are carriers that don't renew them, and there are Medicare supplement plans that close their books. So you know, even if you have a Medicare supplement, that doesn't mean, you know, if you're 66 years old, you're going to have this until you're 96.
Exactly.
Things happen. Now, when carriers pull out of markets or drop plans, you get what's called special election periods. And there are so many, I can't even begin to describe them without boring literally everybody listening and watching. But, you know, and here's the silver line. You know, there are silver linings. They do open up certain special enrollment periods. And how do people find out about this? Well, they'll get a letter. It will have the little Medicare, Centers for Medicare, Medicaid, CMS little logo up there, and it will be a black and white letter in New Times Roman, and it will read just like you think it reads, like a government handout, and it will spell out what you need to do. Okay, it's not the greatest communication method, but it's the only one they do. What they often don't point out is if you do nothing, what penalties you will get if you just hem and haw for 6 months and then decide to do something. So pay attention to those letters, pay attention to the communications you've got there, and take action. Again, look, you know I'm a big fan of independent Medicare insurance agents. I mean, they go through annual training and testing with all their carriers. They go through AHIP certification.
Yeah.
I mean, these folks work hard, and the amount of stuff they have to keep up with. Right, we're speaking in generalities here. They have to keep up with all these changes for every single insurance carrier they have. So when you find a pro, stick with them, right? Tell your friends to go to them, because figuring this stuff out on your own is possible, but it takes a lot. And using help for someone like an independent Medicare insurance agent that knows your networks, knows your metro area, or knows your county if it's a rural or suburban area, and knows the dynamics, is going to these carrier meetings, right? Is on these newsletters that Medicare sends out. Like, someone who knows what they're doing, ask them for help. If it's time to switch, they'll help you. A good one will say, no, you're doing fine just where you are, even if that means they're not a new client.
Right. No, I love that. And that's exactly true. And I know I've talked to people in my network and you hear all different things. And I say, I agree with you. You need to go to those who are the professionals. They have the training. They need to keep up with all of these details. And I've had individuals say to me, look, for example, I'm a pharmacist. So again, a well-educated individual. And I find this terribly confusing. So when you hear that, it kind of really takes your breath away because you're like, well, if someone like that's confused, okay, what about the rest? Again, I'm not saying because someone's a pharmacist, for example, that they, know everything. However, I think to your point about you need to know what's in the details. But my next question is really something that drives me a little bit crazy, which is
the only thing. Wow.
Yeah. Well, one of several things, but the zero premium ads that are on TV on different networks.
Sure.
Do they influence decisions, and what should consumers look out for?
Oh, of course they do. Sure. That's why they're on TV commercials. I mean, commercials are commercials. I know everybody gets annoyed with the Medicare TV commercials, but they're still on because they work. I mean, I ran marketing for 2 major insurance carriers, and I mean, you can't, if you've got growth goals, you can't just say, no, we're not going to do TV marketing, or it's marketing. I mean, think about all your car commercials. What do they advertise? Lease for $299. Well, they don't say there's $28,000 down payment. I mean, it's an ad. So just think of it as it's an ad.
Yeah.
So if it piques your interest and you want to explore it, go for it, explore it, but know what you're dealing. I mean, it's an ad.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that's going to be comprehensive. I mean, think about all of the things that Medicare insurance has to cover. I mean, they can't fit that inside a 30-second spot. I mean, even the federal government makes them do the disclaimers. You want a real fun time, try to read those on the bottom of your screen, even if you have a big screen. I mean, those are mandated disclaimers that says disclaims them from anything. But your question really was, the crux is, should we believe the ads, or what should we do with the ads? And my answer is very simply, it's an ad. Mm-hmm. If it piques your interest for some reason, call it. If they say we're going to give you a free Medicare guide, fine, but recognize that free Medicare guide is going to be very one-sided to the company that's going to send it to you. So,
right.
If you're watching a Toyota ad and you like that truck, walk into the dealer and look at the truck. But, right next to the Toyota dealership is a Chevy and a Ford and a Nissan dealership, and they have trucks too. So make sure, if you're going to do that, do your own cost comparison, do your own company comparison. Make sure, the quality is what you want. Look past the $0 premium. Look past the premium. Look past the premium. Look at the benefits. Look, again, go to an independent Medicare insurance agent that can sell all those trucks, meaning sell all those things, and ask them for help. Which one fits my needs? Which one fits my budget? Which one fits my lifestyle? Which one fits, again, so sure, call the number, get a phone, get a free mailer or whatever they're giving away. But just know that it's like getting a brochure at the Toyota dealership. Yeah. It's pretty. It'll be very one-sided about how awesome their Toyota pickup truck is. Cool. But don't make a decision based on, just going to Toyota.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I like your analogy. I think that's fair. So next, let's talk about prescription drug changes and the formularies and how that all factors into the plan selections and also cost. I know you hedged a little bit when you started talking about drug prescription plans. How does that all work?
Well, when I said earlier, there's so much movement in Medicare insurance, I kind of targeted Medicare supplements and Medicare Advantage, the two ways most people commonly consume Medicare, right? Prescription drugs, though, and I did gloss over it earlier because it's its whole other category. So what's been going on in the last few years, at least from the insurance carrier standpoint, is that they have been under a tremendous amount of pressure from individuals, people taking prescription drugs. I mean, that's what people do, right? So, and figuring out, right, their actuaries and their math nerds, and I say that with peace and love, trying to figure out what the future is going to hold, because all they do is they look back at past claims utilization and they try to project and predict the future, and then they go, okay, well, what do we have to change in terms of the price we charge and the drugs that are covered and the brand names that we covered, and how much that should cost the consumer versus how much we can take and still eke out a 2 or 3% profit. That's been really hard to do for the last few years. I mean, if you think about the Inflation Reduction Act, I mean, that enhanced the Medicare Part D benefits greatly for the consumer. Greatly for the consumer. What a wonderful thing. That comes at a cost. I mean, if you have less consumer out of pocket, right? If the Part D plans got better for the consumers, that's great. Somebody's got to pay for it. This isn't some magical wand that, before the insurance companies were keeping all this profit, now we're going to give it back to the consumer. That's not the case. It's what that act did for Part D meant it's going to be more expensive, and also means that there are going to be fewer drugs that are covered in different tiers. And so even if you just have a standalone Medicare Part D plan this year, and really every year, if you match it with a Medigap or not, look at the premiums, but look past the monthly premiums. Look at where your drugs are now slotted. Did they move from tier 1 at $0 to tier 3 at $68? You got to look. No one's going to come out and tell you. You got to look up your drugs. And then you got to really think about what the next year holds. Again, none of us can predict the future, but do you have some tests that are going on in the last half of this year that you don't know the answers to yet? Is this the time to go cheap on your Part D? It's a very individual decision and a very individual discussion. The bottom line is drugs are becoming more expensive. Medicare Part D plans, both standalone and embedded into the Medicare Advantage plans, are becoming more and more expensive. And the benefits change every year, the premiums change every year, and they will continue to do so. So I'm not saying you have to actively shop, but again, doing nothing is a recipe for disaster. You need to look at what plan changes are happening and apply them to your specific situation. One more thing about Medicare Part D. Because of the financial pressures and other reasons, I suspect, Medicare insurance companies who offer Medicare Part D have been quietly slashing and eliminating commissions for independent insurance agents. So there are still a few companies that have kept them, but the majority of the companies have made those commissions $0. So what does that mean? Well, I said this in one of my social media posts, and I'll say it to you. Don't get mad at your independent insurance agent if they say, nope, you got to do this by yourself. And not just because they're not getting paid, right? Every independent Medicare insurance agent I know would love to help, even if it doesn't mean they get any money. It's fine, right? I mean, nobody likes to work for free, but these guys and gals are good. They'll do it. Here's the problem with that. When an independent Medicare insurance agent sells someone a standalone Part D plan and they get no commission for it, two things have a problem that most people don't consider. Number one is that some errors and omissions insurance carriers, which is basically like malpractice insurance for doctors. So it's kind of the same thing for insurance agents. They don't cover non-commissionable plans.
Oh.
Yeah. So you're the agent of record.
Oh, interesting.
But you're not covered if you get sued by someone who alleges you did something wrong. The second piece is when you're an independent Medicare insurance agent, you're appointed with a carrier. You go through all the annual testing and training, everything else, and you sell, because you still are. If you're enrolling someone, you're selling someone a Medicare Part D plan. Even if you get $0 commissions, you're still the agent of record on that Medicare Part D plan, which means if that consumer decides to file a complaint against Medicare or a grievance with the insurance company, you're still on the hook, even though you didn't earn any commission on that.
Wow.
So I don't know an independent agent that would think that's a good idea for any of those reasons. Number one, no commission. Number two, there may not be errors and omissions coverage for a non-commissionable sale. And number three, I earn $0 in payment in commission from the carrier, but I'm on the hook for compliance. And if things get bad enough, they could just terminate my license for doing something for. Yeah. So don't get mad at your independent insurance agent this fall or next year if they're like, nope, sorry, go to Medicare.gov or go to that carrier by yourself and do it online. It's not that they don't want to help. It's that they shouldn't.
Right. Yeah. No, I didn't realize that. That's pretty interesting. Not in a good way. Is it true that your drugs, if you're on several medications, that the slotting, tier 1 or tier 2, that's something you should check every year? Because that could change. Because I think I remember when we had you on before, you did share that. So I just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah, you have to do that. If you've ever been to a baseball game and during the 5th inning in the middle of it, right? They play that whole "Where's the ball?" and the 3 hats, and then you have to track it. That's your formulary and your tiers every year with Medicare Part D, and that's embedded within your Medicare Advantage plan and your Part D plan as well. So you have to keep your eye on that ball. So yes, something that could be tier 1 this year that's costing you $5 might get moved to tier 4 next year. It's going to cost you $89.
That's great.
Yeah, you got to bounce those every year against your formulary. And again, that's that annual notification of change. And if it doesn't spell out every drug that you have, you gotta go online. You got to use your friend network. You got to do the research yourself because no one's going to usually jump out and scream at you, "Hey, your $5 drug's going to $89." No, that's on you. You got to do that. Especially since independent Medicare insurance agents now, aren't getting paid commissions on standalone Part D. They're not going to do well. I mean, they might. Look, it's always this balance, right? Of what should you do? I mean, doing the right thing is what everybody wants to do, but doing the right thing for no commission, okay. But doing the right thing for no commission plus compliance and legal risk, it's a different thing. It's a different thing. So if you're on a Medicare Advantage plan, an MAPD with a drug plan, your agent is going to help you with that, and they can do that. But if you're on a standalone Medicare Part D plan, good luck. You're going to have to do it yourself.
No, that's interesting and good information. So I think I may know the answer here because I think you've alluded to it. When is it smart to work with an insurance agent versus trying to DIY Medicare choices?
A couple of scenarios. If you're on Medicare Part D only, which means you're what I call bare with Medicare, and there's not that many people that are, well, again, you play the percentages game, right? You say, only 8%. Well, that's still 8% of 65, 67 million people. So that's still a lot of people. So let me start this again. If you're bare with Medicare and you add a prescription drug plan, you can do that on Medicare.gov. And you can enter your drugs in, enter your retail pharmacy in. It does a really good job of just doing Medicare Part D. It really does. Go there, look at it, you're good. If you have, option 2, which is bare with Medicare, which means Medicare A and B plus a Part D plan, and then you add a Medicare supplement or Medigap on top of it, you can do the same thing yourself. If you're just looking at your Part D coverage, you can go to Medicare.gov. They've got that portion of the website, and I'll say the only portion of the website that's any good is that PDP Medicare Part D prescription drug finder. When you are looking to buy a Medicare supplement plan or you are looking to change Medicare supplement plans, Medicare.gov is useless. I mean, what they do is they give links to other insurance carriers' websites. Thanks. I could have Googled that better. And then on Medicare Advantage, and I've been on record, I mean, ever since I wrote that, my book 5 years ago, it's government website from 2005. It's atrocious. You can't, now they're trying to make some changes, but looking at Medicare Advantage and Medicare Part D, the way they sort and rank, the way they stack, the way you can't look up your doctors and you can't look up your hospital systems. Now they're trying to fix that. Their fix that they announced about 3 weeks ago affects, by my calculations, 2% of the Medicare Advantage population. there's still and then ranking, right? If you type in your zip code, right, and you type in you're looking for a Medicare Advantage plan, it will default rank, and then you can rank it a couple of different ways. But what are they ranking them on? No one knows. It's this black box of, well, is it star rating? Is it star rating from the last 3 years? Did the star ratings go up? Did they go down? What about the membership? I personally would feel more comfortable going into a Medicare Advantage plan with, 50 or 70,000 members. What's this plan? And how many members do they have? Do they have 13? I want to know that. Well, you can't find that information out.
Right.
All you can look at are benefits, copays, and then a little bit more detailed information around all those ancillary benefits like dental and vision and hearing. But the comparisons that are on Medicare.gov are lousy. That's it. My opinion, they're lousy. So that's where you use an independent Medicare insurance agent. That's where you get with someone who is in your local area or who is in a position to be, an expert. And I've got some checklists on my website, preparedformedicare.com, and it's in my books too. Like, how do you identify a good Medicare insurance agent? There's a bunch of different ways, but you essentially interview them and you ask them certain questions. And so when you find one of those people, when you're looking at your Medicare supplement and your Medicare Advantage options, use them. They're the pros. They're the experts. They know what's going on with the companies. They know what's going on with the products. And, they'll also have things to look up. For example, a lot of people don't think about this. Which Medicare supplement company should I choose? Well, all the benefits are the same. So why not price? It's a great question. So how do I know if this is just an introductory rate? In 5 years from now, it'll be double. You don't. But guess what? Independent Medicare insurance agents have access to tools that show the annual increases over the last 5 to 10 years in these companies. And they'll be able to tell you, well, this company looks good now, but their rate actions over the last 5 years have all been double digits. So you can get in low, but just realize, right, they might go high. So it's a lot of that nuance and insight that independent Medicare insurance agents have that you can't get on Medicare.gov. And frankly, you can't get on any AI computer cost comparison sort of thing. It's that human insight and experience that humans and people and professionals can still give. So in summary, Part D, that's it. You can do it on Medicare.gov. If you're looking for Medicare supplement or Medicare Advantage, and if you're new to Medicare or you've been on it for years, use an expert independent Medicare insurance agent, a human being.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. So, Matt, as we get near the end of our conversation today, what are a couple of takeaways that you want our audience to remember from our conversation today? And then after that, I'll let you share the best way that individuals can get a hold of you if they want to learn more from your books, or you brought about many different ways that you educate consumers. So we'll have you do that. But first, let's hear the highlights, the takeaways.
Sure. I'm going to actually talk to a slightly different audience, right? Mine has mostly been consumer focused at this point, but I'm going to talk to two separate groups of people now at the end. And one is financial planners and one are people in HR departments. If you're in financial planning and you do not have a good Medicare resource to refer your clients to, you need to find one. Because we all know that medical insurance and exposure is key to anyone's retirement plans. To simply gloss over them or to not address them or to simply say, just get a Medigap Plan G and you're good and build that into the plan isn't enough. Because as we just covered, Medigaps are changing, state rules are changing, premiums are increasing, Medigap companies are dropping out of the markets. It's a dynamic environment. So static recommendation of just do this is exposing your customers and your clients to different financial realities than they were even a year or two ago. So then I'm going to talk to the HR folks as well, or people that run organizations. There are a list of things your HR department should never say and aren't allowed to say. but yet I'm sure you want to treat your people retiring or aging or getting past age 65 and into Medicare eligibility the right way. And you don't want to give the wrong guidance or no guidance. And people, think about paternalistic companies that really care that their employees have worked there 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And I just wrote an article on LinkedIn about the 3 things that HR people should never say, and it's got something like 60,000 views. And I'm really happy about it because I laid out succinctly the 3 things that HR departments should never say, but the things they can and should do. So my plea to both of those groups as well is don't put your head in the sand around Medicare. Find a good agency or an agent partner that you can work with to help people through these decisions, both if you're moving into age 65 or they're working past age 65. Because if you don't, it exposes you just by not doing anything. So that would be my plea to those 2 groups of individuals.
How can folks get a hold of you if they want to learn more about the information you have or just anything that you've mentioned today when they want one of your books?
All sorts of ways. So the flagship website is the flagship book, prepareformedicare.com. You can email me at matt@prepareformedicare.com. I read every one. That's me, Matt. So shoot me an email. If anybody in there in financial planning or HR wants a free checklist, I think you guys remember my wife runs a boutique independent Medicare insurance agency in more than 35 states, Medicare only. Does not touch life insurance, does not touch annuities, does not touch car insurance. It is Medicare only. And so if they're looking for a referral partner, I can give a checklist to HR folks and financial planners. Just email me. Get engaged. If you have questions, email me. I answer them every day just because I like helping people. So that's how to find me. Go to prepareformedicare.com. Go matt@prepareformedicare.com. Yeah, I've got books all over Amazon. I've got online courses on the website. The podcast is themattferretshow.com. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple. It's on all the pod platforms. So yeah, plenty of ways to find me and engage with me. And please do. I really do love this stuff. I love helping people. And so reach out.
No, that sounds great. And Matt, I will put everything in the show notes so people can see all the different ways to get in touch with you. Thank you so much for coming back on Prime Life Podcast. And I'm looking forward to launching this episode. And we talked about the date because, again, it's perfect timing. And keep doing what you're doing and stay in touch with us.
Thanks so much for having me on, Mary. It's been great.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Remember to subscribe to the Prime Life Podcast anywhere you find podcasts. You can find all of our episodes, contact information, and more on our website, primelifepodcast.com. Stay connected with us. Follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.